Hello, this is Mrs. Daywald, and today I'm going to be doing a review for subtracting decimals. So I'd like you to pause the video, and I would like you to rewrite 3 minus 83 hundredths on your paper, and then I'm going to write it, and you're going to check to make sure you have it written down correctly before you solve anything. So pause your video now. Okay, hopefully you wrote 3. And now I need to have a decimal in 3, so I'm going to put the decimal behind it because every number has a decimal. It's just behind it. If it's a whole number, it's going to be behind it right there at the end to the right. And I'm going to actually, for 83 hundredths, I'm going to put the decimal first, and then I'm going to work out from the decimal to the left, and I'm going to put a 0, and then to the right, I'm going to put an 8 and a 3. If you are not really neat, please ask your teacher for some graph paper. You can use graph paper on your PSSAs this year. And in all the empty spaces, I'm going to put zeros. First part about adding and subtracting fractions is you need to set it up correctly. Remember, when you're subtracting, subtraction is not commutative, which means I could not flip-flop these numbers. The commutative property is the flip-flop property, I call it, because in addition, you can flip-flop the numbers. It doesn't matter which number you put on top. But in subtraction, it does matter. So make sure the first number is the number you put on top when you're subtracting, especially if it's decimals. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to regroup. Regrouping is a little tricky, so we're going to do it slowly. Actually, if you can, pause your video and try to solve it yourself. The next thing you do want to do, though, is you want to bring down that decimal. Deal with that decimal first so you don't forget about it, and make sure everything's in line. Pause your video, try to subtract it, and then I'm going to go through the steps, and you're going to follow along, and hopefully we both got the same answer. Okay, so I cannot subtract 3 from 0. So because I can't subtract 3 from 0, I'm going to go next door and try to regroup, or sometimes called borrow. I cannot borrow from the 0 because there's nothing there. So I need to go next door again and borrow from the 3. So now a lot of students start just crossing out random numbers and putting other numbers. Do it very carefully. I'm going to cross out the 3 then becomes a 2. When I move that 3 over one place, it's going to become 10 of the column to the right. So now I have 10 tenths. So one whole, when I move it over another column, it's going to become 10 tenths. Now I'm going to cross out the 10. That's going to become a 9. And again, I'm going to move it over, and this number is going to become a 10. I'm not crossing this number out and making this number a 9 because I'm not giving anything over to the other side to the right. That's a mistake that a lot of students do. A lot of students try to cross this out and make it a 9. That's not correct. Please don't do that. You're going to keep this a 10. And then that's an ugly 0. Let's make that a 0 again. So now I have to do 3 from 10, or 10 minus 3 is 7. 9 minus 8 is 1. And 2 minus 0 is 2. That was just a quick example on how to subtract decimal numbers. Be careful, and a lot of times this will be a no calculator problem. Be careful with it and make sure you line up those decimals and add zeros in any of the places and then regroup carefully. Lastly, if I want to check this problem, I can check it. I call it by adding up. So I can start at the bottom and add up. So basically that means I could add it the other way. And a lot of students are better at adding than they are at subtracting. So now when I add it, 7 plus 3 is 0. Oh, I want to put the decimal down. I regroup the 1. 7 plus 3 is 0. I regroup the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 8 is 10. And then I have 3. And notice this answer is the same as that top answer. I actually do it very simply by adding up on my paper. 7 plus 3 is 10. My pen is making a mess. 7 plus 3 is 10. 0 up top. And then I regroup that little 1. 1 plus 1 plus 8 is 10. I had that 0 originally. and then regroup the 1, and then 1 plus 2 is 3. You can do it that way also, but it's always a good idea possibly to rewrite them. Great job and good luck on those PSSAs.